It's a wonderful day to be at the theater. How the hell you doing? Welcome to the show. As always, I have Mike and Spidey with me here today. So let's just get right down to it. Today's beef, today's unresolved anger. It centers around. Alright, so today I'm talking about my all-time favorite comic book character, the Punisher. This is Frank Castle, also known as the Punisher, and this is the way he should look. The problem with the Punisher is that his fans are rabid, and they have a very territorial way of how they like their Frank. Some Punisher fans like him to look more like this. I think it's a decent look. I think his pants look a little bit like he's about to go play paintball, but not too bad. The smeared, messy emblem is not my favorite, but it's decent. It's all right. White boots, gloves, and gear, hell yeah. There are plenty of vigilantes wearing all black with guns, and I love all the stories. They're great, but no Skull, no Punisher. This is a great-looking vigilante, and it's actually how some Punisher fans would like to see him portrayed. And this is a very good action movie from the 1980s. The director did not want to use the skull, and in hindsight, he admitted that he was actually wrong for not using it. And this is Ray Stevenson's portrayal of the Punisher. He was pretty much born to be the Punisher. The only problem is he was stuck with a pretty crappy script. And this, John Bernthal, if you just piece together what they did in the Daredevil series with his appearances, the promise of how epic his own series was going to be was legendary. Legendary. But all we really got was this. When John wasn't screaming, which was 99% of the time, the series was pretty goddamn boring. Not John's fault at all. He's a good actor and he had some really compelling scenes when the writing was good. Just another victim of bad writing and let's make a series called Punisher where we don't even use the skull. This is how the Punisher looks when you decide that he doesn't need a costume. This is the pride and joy of my collection. I bought it when I was 13 years old for 75 cents out of a house store. These people had converted their living room into a convenience store, back in 1988. So I had no idea that decades later, how much entertainment I'd be gathering from this character, the Punisher. I was just blown away reading this story, and to this day, still my favorite. So, as you might guess, the Thomas Jane rendition of the Punisher was my favorite to date, and I think that once you get over the few downsides of the movie with the origin, I didn't like the fact that they messed with his origin, and he was a bit soft in the beginning, but I think by the end of the movie, it was the best representation. It had everything. It had colorful villains, which is very important. The action sequences were very good. If Thomas Jane would have gotten a second shot with another movie, I think that would have been awesome. It would have been even better than the first movie. The fights with Harry Heck and with the Russian were great. They really were better than anything that occurred in a lot of the other media that the Punisher has put out so far. And Howard Saint, played by John Travolta, he just lent a lot of marquee and a lot of class to the character. There is a decent amount of Punisher fans that like to see him only dealing with the real world and apart from Marvel. Even though he was born in a Spider-Man comic and he exists in the same Marvel universe as Galactus and the Silver Surfer and Thanos, they like to see him capsulized and only taking on armies of nameless, faceless thugs that get what they deserve by the end of the story, which is great. I love all that too. I love seeing him mow down a bunch of bad guys that are just are throwaways. But my favorite stories always have to do with him being challenged. And the great thing about Frank Castle is that he gets by, even being the underdog. He still gets by on willpower and by having to outwit stronger opponents, and he still wins the day. And that's the really great thing about Frank Castle. We've already seen the best Punisher stories. We've already seen the best Punisher action figures that they're going to make, but what we haven't seen is the best of what the Punisher has for cinema, and we're going to. I don't know when, I don't know how, but we are going to see multiple versions of the Punisher in cinema, and it's going to really do justice to the character, and we're all going to enjoy it.
Stay out of my way. I won't warn you again.
All right, so that's going to wrap up this episode. Thanks for joining us. On behalf of Mike and Spidey, see you next time on Action Figure TEATRO. Remember, don't play with your balls in the house.